Hello and welcome. I'm Gayatri Old, and this is Gupshup with Gayatri, Season 2, Old World Conversations with New Age Technology. As many of you know, Gupshup is a series of light and casual conversations on topical issues with domain experts and women of substance. But light does not mean it's frivolous. Casual does not make it flippant. Gupshup is not gossip. Gupshup is in fact an intimate chat in the company of family and friends in the age of social distancing and lockdowns. It's easy flowing, it's conversational and non-confrontational. Gupshup is not designed as a high voltage toxic debate aimed at getting you agitated and angry. Rather, the endeavor is to have meaningful conversations so that one has the time and leisure to read, learn, unlearn, contemplate, and reflect. Does that mean that no uncomfortable questions shall be asked? They shall, but not in the Bharat puchta hai, India wants to know kind of way. Gupshup is extremely broad in its scope. Previous topics have covered subjects as diverse as economics and financial planning, films, feng shui, cancer care, education, coaching, Hindustani classical music. The previous guests have been CEOs and activists, journalists and authors, even a classical musician. While Gupshup did start off primarily as a way of interviewing LSR alumni, a college that I attended to in the 90s, Gupshup with Gayatri has chosen to not restrict itself only to outstanding alum from LSR, because there are so many incredible women amongst us, and there are so many inspiring stories around us. And Gupshup is the platform to share those stories. Another unique feature of Gupshup is the quality of the audience. The predominantly female audience of Gupshup is intelligent, educated, and discerning. These are the opinion leaders and thought leaders of today's India, and their comments adds a special zing to the sessions. So dear audience, thank you for tuning in. Send us your thoughts, queries, and comments in the chat box. We will take it both during and after the Gupshup, keeping it interactive. So sit back and enjoy Gupshup with Gayatri, Old World Conversations with New Age Technology. Let me now turn to our guest for today. Our guest for today is someone who's both beautiful and bold. She's talented and courageous, sensitive and romantic, a gender activist, a poetry enthusiast, a moon lover. Her passion for music and storytelling chose her to choose a very unconventional career in radio nearly 20 years ago. Today, she is the editorial and content head of Amazon Music in India. Safia Ali, such a pleasure to have you on Gupshup with Gayatri. It's a privilege. Welcome.
Thank you, Gayatri. This is like, I don't have words to say, but beautiful welcome. I think too many words to describe small little me, but just happy to be here. Like you said, Gupshup is, a happy chat with you. And I'm really, really glad to be part of this.
I mean each and every adjective I've used for you. And as the conversation unravels, the readers will also know why I've said what I've said. In fact, let me...
Before we start, same pinch.
Same pinch, yes.
We didn't plan
this is how I was mentioning. This is completely coincidental.
Yes, I figured as soon as Safia came on screen, I said, oh God, you've matched. And I don't know if it was planned, but I know ours wasn't and it was matched.
Oh, it isn't. It's Gayatri's telepathic energy, which is so strong.
Yeah, I got it too. Have a good chat ahead.
Thank you. So Safia, I have to begin this conversation by talking of the Celanese number that's driving all of India mad. Money ke mauke hide. 100 million views on YouTube. And it's been shared by everyone from Amitabh Bachchan to Madhuri Dixit to Tiger Shroff. And it's on Amazon India. It's at number 8. I checked for this week on the playlist. 50 most watched at number 8. What explains the popularity of this song?
I don't think it needs explanation. That's what I love about music. It's just, this is one song which tells you that music doesn't need boundaries, right? It doesn't need a language. It just needs, a heart to listen to. Really, I mean, who knows the words? Who's listening to, um, or trying to sing along? You can sing along if you want, but do you really care for the meaning? You might, but ultimately you just want to sing along because it makes you feel good. Actually, I will, uh, I always, and I overquote my favorite author, Maya Angelou. And she says, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, people will not forget how you made them feel. And I think songs make you feel a certain way. And that's why you're always drawn. I don't think anybody on earth, will not respond to music, right? And I think this song is a phenomenon because literally because music just cuts across boundaries.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing to be a part of, the global phenomenon, which is music. And it just means that somebody sitting in America would be listening to this piece of music as much as somebody sitting in Sri Lanka. It's a Sri Lankan song.
Yeah, it's a Sinhalese song. I mean, I heard it for the first time 3 weeks ago when a Sri Lankan friend sent it across. This was before it had become the rage. I mean, I've seen it grow in the last 3 weeks or so. And I couldn't understand the meaning, but the melody, and it just brought a smile to my lips.
Yeah, it brings a smile.
Cutting across. And what explained, there's so many now different versions of it, cover versions. In fact, the song is also a cover version. So, I mean, Tamil, Telugu, many Hindi versions, there's a Bangla version. So, I mean, as someone in the music industry, are these cover versions, do they add to the popularity of the original song, or is it seen as a way of piggybacking on someone else's popularity? Is there some ethics there, or?
I think it's the power of internet. I mean, we won't get into the ethics of it. I don't think it's, I mean, music can be shared and felt, and you can, I mean, I feel like singing it, I'll sing it. But it's, I mean, of course, there are artists' rights and music rights, and and we won't get into that. But what you asked is beautiful. It's the power. It's the good power of internet, right? It makes you. I mean, who would have known that you would read this song will reach you? We knew of, our parents have known of Ceylon radio, which was Sri Lankan radio. I mean, where things used to come. Correct. And I mean, there was a wait for it, and people wouldn't be able to. This is the age for sharing. From there to here, this is the power of digital, empowerment. I have my views on on how it can be quite bad as well. But this is exactly where it makes it a sharing platform. And what we want to do as human beings, as a tribe, the community of being part of a community, is to be able to share. So I think the song, the many versions of any popular song, I see it in a positive way, even though, I mean, I belong to, an artist creative community where, there are rights and everything involved. But I mean, I would just be flattered if there's so many versions of it, right? There's a way of looking at it.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Correct.
Okay. Coming back to Amazon India's 50 most played numbers for the week. I mean, it's a very curious mix of Bollywood and Ed Sheeran and BTS and Justin Bieber. So what does this indicate about the online music choices of Indians?
I mean, the list, I would say, is unique to Amazon Music. We only go by like it says, 50 most played. So these are the most played songs. These are the most streamed songs, right? And this is basically showing people's choice, people's, listeners' power. So we're literally giving the power to the listener, saying, hey, it's up to you. This is your chart. We are not calling the shots here. It's the customer, it's the listener. Amazon also happens to be a customer obsessed company. And this is the literally the result of, I would say, of that, that, we decided that the power should lie in the hands of the customer. The amount they play is what will show and reflect. And it just again reflects a diverse, I would say, choice that listeners show. Like you said, Ed Sheeran, there are lots of Tamil and Telugu hits that are coming our way. And again, it shows that it's not just Bollywood, it's not just Hindi or English for that matter, it's across languages, you know. India is a unique market in that sense, even globally when we look at it. And I can share more, but I want to know what you want to ask next.
No, I also noticed because, a few weeks ago, we had Meeta Pandit, who's from the Gwalior Gharana, sixth generation singer. And I noticed the absence of any kind of classical music on this list. As you're saying, it's decided by the audience choice.
Yeah.
But is Indian classical music, because of this exposure we have so much, to international music, is Indian classical music, Carnatic, Hindustani classical music losing out in some way?
In fact, not at all. I would say there is, again, the power of streaming, the power of digital platform, the power where it actually gives us a level playing field is also, you have discrete audiences for different forms of music, different genres of music, right? And that again is sort of reflective in the way streaming platforms showcase their music. If you see across, I would say across even competition, there's just such varied genres that people are consuming. It's heartening to know that you have a platform and many such platforms where you can, if you are a classical music lover, you have your set of music, you have your set of audience, you have your set of fans you can, or customers you can interact with. Literally, Carnatic music is very popular. There is a particular time of the year also that it's popular in, and I mean, a lot of Carnatic listeners, if they are part of the show today, would know there is a season in December, January, and that's when it's really prevalent. That's the beauty of, one, I will say, music, and at the second level, India. So I wanted to say this, music, streaming platforms are giving that sort of, you have your own compartment, you have your own way of listening to it. So they give you a varied, choice. And that's reflective in Indians, choices. Because India, like I said, is a very unique country when I compare it to global locales, is because we listen to music. We don't listen to music. Actually, I'll correct that. We watch our music. We are a visual country, right? Yeah. So we love to watch. I mean, anytime you think of an old song or even a new song, you immediately connect the video to it, right? Yeah. The visual to it. Yeah. Whether it's Devanand and Nutan getting down from Qutub Minar stairs, or it's literally Rata Lambia and Siddharth Malhotra and Kiara. So we still associate music with visuals, and so it's a soundtrack market. It's not a artist first market. It's a video first, or I would say actor actress first market. That makes it unique. The second thing that makes it unique is that we are a genre less market. When I say genre, in US and UK, the mature markets, where music is consumed as a commodity in a different way, there they listen to a pop or a rock or a dance and electronic very sort of clearly. There's a sharp differentiation. अभी किसी को भी पकड़ के पूछो कि एड शीरन पॉप सिंगर है कि रॉक सिंगर है, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. True. Literally, it really doesn't matter. And I can only see it in Hindi and it makes sense because it gets lost in translation if I say it doesn't matter. Because we would love to listen to Ed Sheeran, but we don't care what the genre is. That's my reading. Yeah. That's because we come from a soundtrack market. Look at Gully Boy. You think it's a rap album? No, it has romance. It has, if I go by genres, Gully Boy as a music album, if I don't put the visuals there, had a whole lot of rap, it had a whole lot of pop. It had a whole lot of, there was a rock song, there was an R&B kind of song. So we don't classify within one album, you will find, many different genres sitting there. So, and I have forgotten my train of thought. Where were we?
We were talking about how India is a genre-free market for music.
Correct. So yeah, that's why, and that's why Carnatic music, Hindustani classical, even jazz. And why I'm so excited about this age, even though I am a vintage lover and I would like everything on, and we'll talk about it. I still have an LP player. I listen to music on that on Sundays. Make it a point to make it a gadget-free Sunday. This is the only time, I'm on a gadget. So
thank you, I'm honored.
There's a reason, because we are overexposed. It's just there's so much, that we hear and see. But yeah, coming back to the point of digital versus the older radio stations, or you had to tune in, and then if you saw, if you've seen the phenomenon of private radio coming in, it suddenly became only popular music playing. Only hit music playing. There was no scope for sort of emerging artist or an emerging genre to listen to. Who heard of a ghazal show then, right? Who heard of a classical music show in the radio stations or on TV when we were listening to watching our music on TV?
Yeah.
That also was capturing the best of the best, because we're constantly looking at numbers, right? So streaming platform as well is looking at numbers, but it's also the varied audience, and it really, again, is customer obsessed. So, I mean, I would like to say that we are customer obsessed. We do have a whole lot of genres that we cater to. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you said about visual, we like to see our songs visually. It's so true, because I know personally, if I hear a song and I don't know which movie or, whom it was picturized on, I mean, it really, I get anxious about it. I need to know. So absolutely, I've never thought of it in those terms. Is that why these dance numbers are also so popular? Are they somewhere connected? I mean,
Indians usually like I think we like our moods to be uplifted. We like that energetic, energy mood kind of songs. I've seen, across the world, there will be a whole lot of different genres, which could be quieter also, which would work well. But dance numbers somehow, we're transported in a different world, right? And we want to be from our daily hitch pitch of life. So I attribute it to India as a developing country is growing. So there are all these, factors where we're all running a sort of a race. And within that, if we get to, so our leisure, our thing of, let me sit down and relax, could be either it would be very, very relaxing in a soul soothing song. And that's why the phenomenal success of Hindi retro, or actually even regional retro music, because that's what you want to sit down with group of friends or a cup of chai, or you want to go out. There's these two very, very distinct moods, and that's basically cutting off from like I said, the daily madness of life. Yeah. I mean, not that it's not true in other countries, but they're slightly more for, I would say, from the music perspective, a maturer market. But like dance numbers also have the visual appeal. I mean, otherwise YouTube, T-Series wouldn't be the number one channel on YouTube in the world. I mean, that says something about us.
Sweetie ki Tittu ki shadi. Got it right? I mean, what would it be without those dance numbers?
T2. Sonu ki T2 ki.
Sonu ki T2 ki. But while I'm talking to you, I'm visualizing the girl in the red saree with those heels, with those guys.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's also because we are a young country, maybe.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
brings me to the podcast you have on Amazon India. Again, a very eclectic choice. You have from Sadhguru to financial news to mindfulness and fitness.
Yeah, I think, we're still in a very, very nascent stage of as India as a market on podcasts, I would say. And which is why we're also taking slow and steady steps towards what the audience wants. Again, keep the customer, in mind first. So as compared to other countries, again, I'm only, not just, comparing India on a global map, but even within India, the kind of genres that work are very different from the kind of genres that work abroad, right, or in other locales. So it's a like you said, an eclecticness. There's no other way of describing it. We do seek spiritual growth. We do look at self healing and wellness as a very big point that India is taking very seriously, and it's great. Hence you see those wellness podcasts doing well, and like any other competition, and even Amazon Music, whatever the choice of the listener is coming up front, right? What we are trying to do is personalize it. So I mean, that's where it is. So we're still learning. It's a learning phase, I would call it. So I won't comment more on it, but I would wait and watch, because it's a very interesting time to be in. Okay. Where suddenly the power of audio is coming back.
Yeah, which is what I wanted to ask you, because you are someone who's always believed in the power of audio.
Yeah.
After completing your graduation, you chose to go into radio nearly 20 years ago, which was very unconventional. And with the coming of cable television, I know that so much was written about how, the audio has lost out to video, and you spoke about the visual representation of songs. So someone like you, who's always been so, in love with audio, to see it all coming back must be extremely gratifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it ever went away. When they say it's coming back, I don't think it ever went away, and it's never going to. If you see, I connected to our oral storytelling sort of tradition. From village to village, we would have theater groups, performing, and we still know of the theater groups that were probably part of the 1800s. Also, like folk tradition is so popular. I attribute it to our very, very rich oral tradition of storytelling and just conversations, right? We do thrive as a community, as tribes, and certain and how we've sort of grown. So I feel that audio will always be first, because it plays with the theater of the mind. I love that. I mean, that the thrill of, I was literally planning to do the whole interview with you without showing my face, because look at the enigma that it causes, the mystery that it causes, and the amount of imagination that you're left with. I think there is some beauty there. One is, this is my romantic interpretation of it. Coming to the market reality is that we are, like I said, I think, overexposed with a lot of digital, visual sort of platforms that are in our faces. We are on our phones all the time, or on the laptop. And I think somewhere down the line, the listeners, customers have started choosing, with also voice devices like Echo and Amazon Echo and Show coming up with voice devices penetration. I think there is this whole thing of, let me listen to someone, let me listen to this, right? It's just an easier, less, I think, stressful way. In radio, we used to call it, in terrestrial radio, we used to call it, there is something called appointment listening, where you need to sort of have an appointment saying 9 o'clock, I'm going to tune in, listen to this thing, right? But radio or audio also gives you, it cuts across a very, very important line, is of being able to multitask while we're doing whatever we're doing. You mentioned that I joined 20 years ago fascinated with the voice medium. It was basically so I could wear pajamas and do a show.
And we are back to that.
Okay, no, I mean, okay, seriously speaking, it's basically, to be able to do what you're doing, you can walk and listen to music. You can be, chopping vegetables, or, doing something. You could be driving and listening to a person. And I somehow the lockdown, if I don't know if people have not been able to see the chat, but do people agree that it's just amazing how we were able to come back to doing things? Like I remember I used to like, you know, when we were taking turns of, you know, doing housework with, I mean, you know, with my sister, I was just like, okay, I want to listen to a book, you know, because I wanted to finish it. I've not been able to do that by sitting and reading. I don't think it's the, I mean, the purists would, like even I am, I wouldn't say qualify it as I've read a book, but at least I want to finish it, right? I want to listen to it. So, or listen to, like you said, podcast or music or anything. You were able to dedicate that 1 hour while doing something else. What TV and you know, visual platforms ask of you is your visual time, and that for me is so amazing with audio, that you can just be laid back and doing whatever you are doing and be able to do that. You don't need to be right there, and yet you're listening.
Yeah. So I'd like to tell the audience here that what we are doing today, that all the people who've tuned in today, this is appointment viewing. Sunday, 5 o'clock, like Kanika said, that you've woken up. And tomorrow, when I put it as a podcast, then it's heard more. That's when, you know, it's no longer appointment and you are chopping your vegetables or in your pajamas and listening to it casually. And at least you've listened to it. Yes. And to that note, we'll take an audience question. There is a question from Kriti. Does Amazon Music plan to tap and help young music talent via school and college fest talent search? Is it possible across metros?
You know, right now we're all again in the learning stages of how it would impact. So I wouldn't be able to say right away, but I know that, you know, we're already like supporting breakthrough artists and you know, emerging artists via labels, you know, and labels again, like I see this you know, trend where there are new singers, where there is new genres. One of the, I think, few positive things that I could think of the lockdown did to us was because there was no film music coming in. It gave birth to, you know, again, something that we have always known is private albums, pop albums, as you may call it, or, you know, singles and, you know, by popular singers, playback singers, so to say. Playback is for giving it for a movie. But now, you know, everybody was looking in their, you know, a kitty of, you know, what we can stir up as a independent album, like independent artists are called. So suddenly everybody became an independent artist. And I think that's, again, I would see it in a positive way, where from a Diljit Dosanjh to a, you know, Arijit Singh, or even the, you know, the emerging artists, as we call them, or the Indian indie, as we call them. Indie, like, Indian indie, the new independent artists got that big, you know, showcase and a platform to showcase what they have. So it's going in that direction. It will go. It will always go in that direction, because you're constantly wanting to listen to what's new, what's next.
Let's now move on to your journey, because that's equally fascinating. And then we'll unravel why I call you bold and beautiful and talented and courageous. So you're a Fauji kid, and you grew up in Delhi, Bombay, Kashmir, Northeast. There must have been, was there parental pressure to join the civil services? You're a girl, and you did English honors or creative writing, and
I mean, that's like, if my parents, that's why, thank God my parents are not here. Again, I'm joking. They were in for a roller coaster journey with me when it came to me, because they said, I actually, I don't think, Gayatri, you and I have chatted about this, that I studied science in school. And only because my mother wanted me to be a doctor. Looking back, I think I could have been, but I was so interested in literature, and my father had studied English and psychology in college. He was actually taught by Firaq Gorakhpuri. Firaq Gorakhpuri was Yes, his name was, and he studied in Allahabad University.
Yeah.
And Firaq Gorakhpuri's name, of course, is
Raghuveer Sahai. Huh?
Raghuvat Sahai.
Yeah.
And he was, as all professors, as all good professors, quite an eccentric professor, because he would say there's only 1.5 people in India who know English. One is me, and half is Dr. Radhakrishnan. So, he came from that. But I mean, what a rich history of, universities in those days. In fact, in my LSR interview, the head of department, Anjana Sharma, if anybody would remember from English literature, she took my interview after there was also a series of comedy of errors that happened. I took the written exam, went to check my name. My name is with S, so I looked in the the last few lines in the roll numbers. My mother and I looked for my name and we didn't find it. So I come back very disheartened and I'm like, oh, I didn't get through LSR. And then 2 days later, actually a week later, a friend of mine said, congratulations, you got through LSR. I was like, what? No. So she's like, no, your name was there. Then we went back to check the list. And actually, I'd missed my name because they had put it according to merit. So my name was on top. I didn't even bother looking at it. I was like, "Arey nahi hua." And then I'd missed the interview part. So my interview happened on the orientation day. And, I remember Anjana Sharma asking me this question, that why do you want to take literature? You have a science background. I hope you're not studying for medicine and will leave in a year. Yeah. And then we talked about my love for reading, my love for books given by my father, and for Urdu, for languages. My mother was the Urdu secretary in her college, and so both parents actually had a literature background, but I think they just thought that it'll be nicer if you're a doctor, or like you said, okay, you've chosen literature, now you'll do LSI, now you'll do IS. And of course, I said, पहले तो बोला नहीं, डॉक्टर नहीं बनना है, लिटरेचर करना है, लिटरेचर करना है, नहीं अभी IS IFS नहीं करना है, I'll want to do media. And that too, अच्छा media में भी क्या करना है, radio. So I'd always been fascinated with, I would listen to radio while studying, and I was just like, what happens? What is that world? That is a magical world there. And it truly is. It truly is. I don't think I'll ever, the first thing I'll listen to is a person's voice. I will not remember the face, but I'll remember the voice. So there's this power of just, words and talking, and like I said, the theater of mind, where it just creates a flow. We all remember Hawa Mahal. Those are the first audio movies, so to say, with all the sound effects. And I used to be fascinated with that, or like you said, Binaka, Sibaka, Geetmala, right, of the worlds that of what we listened to and grew up. And I sound like a dinosaur when I say we grew up listening to Sibaka, Geetmala.
You're talking of the days when admissions were offline, when you had to physically go in the Delhi heat and check the name on the list. And anyway, we come a long way from that. But you joined Red FM as an RJ. And you were there for nearly 3 years. And then you moved to Dubai and you helped start a channel which focused on Bollywood music for the Indian diaspora.
Yeah. Again, I mean, once you're a radio person, you're a radio. There's just something about radio that that's really fascinating. And I started with Red FM with a breakfast show that I used to host, and then went on to and then was headhunted and went to Dubai. In fact, in Red FM, I was the first one to do an interview with Sheila Dikshit ji. Nobody had ever done the thought of an interview, and that too, nothing to do with politics. She sang songs. She talked about Miranda House. Yes. So she.
What did Sheila Dikshit sing? What were her favorite songs?
Oh, lovely. I mean, she was just, I mean, you could dedicate a whole show to her. The way she was, and she, she's so graceful. And, the way she talked about, of course, old songs that she would listen to, our favorite Geeta Dutt and Hemant Kumar and all those songs. And so So from there, where we could not imagine, interviews again, like I think private radio gave that platform to India to love audio again, right? And to meet people through audio again. And that's what I carried forward. I love, like you're interviewing me, most of the times I'm like, I end up, the other way around. Ki, ha, Gayatri, you tell me what went on in your life, because I'm so interested in the person behind the persona, and that's always been fascinating to me. So anyway, I went to Dubai. And Dubai again is a very big market for Indian diaspora, like you rightly said. Even there, I started a retro station because there was a need and a scope for that. And oh my God, the kind of, I would say Dubai listeners are the most amazing listeners of Hindi retro, because they remember, because they're living in nostalgia. They still stuck in time with where they left off from, right? They've gone, choda hai wo galiyan, but they still remember those, right? Yeah. So nostalgia really works, and they will remember the second stanza ka second line, and I was like, oh wow, you cut the song after the second stanza. I was like, oh my God, like this is like, blasphemous if you do that in Dubai, because they remember songs and they'll ask you for a Rafi song which you haven't heard, and they would do, which is fascinating. Fascinating to me as the Indian diaspora, which interacts so much with
and
music.
Safia ki Adalat?
Safia ki Adalat was, oh my God. So in Radio Mirchi, when I came back from Dubai, I was given a show which is a mid-morning show. Now, mid-morning shows typically, ideally in terrestrial radio are now the office going audience has gone to office. This is for the local shopkeepers, or even for women, at home, who are listening to it, right? So a major part of it was that. So there was a show called Gupshup, which I was asked to host. The jock before me would do, like beauty tips with, cucumber, ye karna chahiye, wo karna chahiye. I said, you know what? Instead of putting a cucumber in my eyes, I will say, please eat cucumber. I was looking at it completely differently. Then there was like no men allowed in that show, right? Okay. And I said, no, why not? Let's call them and let's grill them. And we did something like men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of a thing. Okay. I was like, okay, today's issue is, why do men leave their towels on the bed and the toothpaste thing open? Or why do they do something, things like that? And then I would invite men. I would say, please give your justification, but please be ready with the woman who's going to be on the other side of the katera, and and say what she has to say.
You were playing judge and jury.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can where it would have gone.
Yeah.
But the interesting part was that more I would say that, hey, you will really have to win your way around. You have to have a winning argument. The more men joined and listened to the show, and why not? More the merrier. But it just happens to be, we just happen to be the better gender, what to say.
Okay. And you mentioned Red FM, and when you came back to India with Red FM, you also launched India's first retro station, which was a huge...
No. So with Radio Mirchi, I would, after coming back from Dubai, I went to Radio Mirchi, did this for about 6 years. And then I wanted to change cities. And so in Bombay, Big FM was starting out, was already there, part of 7-8 radio stations, playing all the popular new music, as they said. And I joined as the programming head this time, not as a radio jockey. And I know because I was hosting a show called Purani Jeans on Radio Mirchi, where it was a late night, yes, retro absolutely. Show.
Heard so many episodes of it.
Thank you. So I knew there's a fair bit of an audience for retro. We just tested it out. We did a research, and we knew that there is a sort of scope where in a city like Bombay, where it's like all dhamal happening and people think that they like loud music, if we were to give them retro, what would happen? And it just changed the course of history for radio in India, where we launched an all retro station in Bombay and Delhi. And the differentiation was not just music, but also the way we looked at radio jockeys. It was not like, hey, good morning, we're listening to radio. That's not how radio is done. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it, conversation like we are doing. And so we invited subject matter experts. I got Anu Kapoor, who is a legend when it comes to trivia, Hindi retro trivia. Who else could be? So, credibility with retro across the world, also with retro format, is you do have retro formats, but then you have to have experts talking to you. You wouldn't want it any other way, right? You would want like a real film expert, somebody like Bhavna Sumaya, who's celebrated as a columnist and a journalist, film journalist, to do your movie reviews, not just anybody, doing that. There I started a ghazal show, which again I was very proud of, and we won several awards for it, in the International Radio Forum, which I wanted Talat Aziz to.
The ghazal show?
Karwane Ghazal.
Karwane Ghazal, yes.
And it was hosted by Talat Aziz, the ghazal singer. So who better than him, talking about, ghazal music. So those are the kind of things that we did. Then Nilesh Misra used to do a storytelling show. And with his, small town stories, the music really went with that. The flavor was beautiful. That, I think, was the first time I think I saw the start of listening to audio more than the music. When I say audio is the non-music part of it, people actually would stay in their cars to listen to the full story.
Yeah, Suhana Safar with Anu Kapoor.
And Yado Ka Idiot Box with Nilesh Misra. Things like that just did get popular.
Tell us one interesting incident from behind the scenes, maybe with Anu Kapoor or some other Talat Mahmood.
Talat Aziz, but
Talat
yeah,
Aziz.
I mean,
Sorry.
I think what so one or two of, I mean, it's so difficult. There's just so many things that happen which you don't even realize. I went with a script to Talat Aziz and I said, if you can read this well, if you can talk about this well, then you're on the show. And मैं हिंदी में बात कर रही थी उनसे, and हिंदुस्तानी में, I would say, more than Hindi. When I was speaking to him, and the other incident is also related to this. He just stopped me midway and he's like, "तुम यहाँ की नहीं हो." I said, "What do you mean यहाँ की नहीं हो?" So I said, "नहीं, मैं बम्बई की मैं हूँ. मतलब this is for Delhi, Bombay." He's like, "नहीं, तुम्हारी बात इतनी साफ है, ज़बान इतनी साफ है कि तुम यहाँ की हो ही नहीं." I said, "No, ancestrally हाँ मैं इलाहाबाद की हूँ, दिल्ली में पढ़ी हूँ." And I would, with this whole chat between Delhi and Bombay and this tug of war, I would say Delhi is a far more literature oriented city. So we take our languages very seriously as compared to Bombay, which is, let's just go with whatever's practical, right? That goes with food and that goes with jaldi karte hain, hai na? Like finish the work and get on with life, which works with the quick sandwiches and the quick things that you get on the food thing, vada pav and things like that, and talk as well. And the same thing in Delhi, they bade aaram se dal pakayenge, bade aaram se baat karenge ki abhi itminan hai. And language also is pure because you get that purity in your language. Of course, I heard a lot of that in my house with my mother speaking a lot in Urdu and things like that. So that was one. And Asha Bhonsle ji, again, we were talking, and again midway in the interview, she's like, तुम इतनी साफ हिंदी कैसे बोलती हो, मुझे सिखाओ. I was like, आपको सिखाओ, मतलब you're already like so good. And I was literally wearing a sari like this. We didn't know that we were going to interview her. It just so happened that day, Mondays, I used to be like, I'll wear a sari because it used to be one of those days when, the Monday blues happen. So you just wear a sari and like want to like get ahead with the day. And she called us and I was fixing my sari ka, theek kar rahi thi main. And the interview was over. And she just called me and she's like, "Come here." So I said, "Kya hua?" And she took me to her bedroom. And her bedroom, I'm not kidding you, if you have a wall, like a full wall, it's the whole wall is a cupboard. Okay. And she opened like there's just like many doors to that cupboard. She opened like 3 of them, like big doors, and all full of saris. And she's like, "Okay, pick one."
Wow. Wow.
Asha ji, आपने बोल दिया यही काफी है. She's like, नहीं. One, you pick one. Pick a sari. I said, आप choose कीजिए. मुझे नहीं पता. मतलब that there was such amazing, collection. And I was like, what should? She's like, नहीं, तुम cotton पहनती हो, cotton silk. ये वाली साड़ी लो. It's a blue and white. I'll send you a picture. It's again in Bombay because I've been in Delhi since the lockdown, so I don't have a picture. मेरी हिम्मत नहीं हुई अभी तक उसको मतलब उठा के पहनने की, because it's like I want to, I think, like just frame it, right? And उसके साथ she's so particular, like she's so methodical. All that, उसके साथ ही उसका blouse, उसका petticoat, उसकी, if there is a jewelry thing associated with it, she would even write it down and keep it there कि ये इसके साथ मैं पहनूंगी. Amazing. I mean, amazing. That lady is just amazing. It's full of like so much love and warmth. So she gave me that, and I said, she like, blouse का क्या करोगी? मेरी blouse को क्यों? I said, नहीं दे दीजिए. I'll just keep it and just treasure it. She's like, you're mad. Yeah, I said, you're a mad girl. And then on the way out, she's like, और kebab सिखाने आना होगा तुमको. Your mother's Shami kebabs.
Amazing, absolutely. And you're a sari lover. I mean, to maybe someone who's not into saris.
Yes.
Then you're obviously wearing a sari, and then she understood that you were one.
Yes, this is anybody who's from Calcutta. This is a Bengali sari. Not a form of dhakai, but something like that. And Kolkata is my favorite place for saris, to be honest. It just has a vibe which it's something else. It's a city stuck in time, and I love that about Calcutta. And saris is something, and cotton saris is something that I love. Yeah. I don't know where I picked it up from, but it just became a thing. And now it's wherever I go, I have to, even if it's a 2-hour stop, I'll just go and quickly buy at least one sari from somewhere, and if I've not been able to, at the Guwahati airport, I remember we were running to catch the flight, and I saw a beautiful yellow sari on the, one of the counters in, in the shop. Okay. I said 5 minutes, and I quickly went and bought the sari. Like, you're late, ma'am.
Love your characterization of Mumbai Delhi Wala, says Sanjana Raj. Okay.
Yay, Sanjana.
Yeah. And there's another question from Nitya. We'll take it later. We're talking of your love for saris. Let's discuss your other love, which is poetry. And yes, you're a moon lover.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I think there's a whole lot that I can talk about. I think it just started when I went to Bombay, and I was I went through a rough personal patch, and that's why I wanted to shift in the city. And I went to Bombay, and there was one day when I was coming back from work, and it was pretty late at night. And I was wondering to myself while coming down the stairs, getting the, down the lift, nobody there, went into the, underground parking, nobody there, came out. I was just like, life is this, right? You are with yourself alone. And I get out of the underground parking on top, and I reach the ground floor, and there's the night sky, and Bombay, and I will share the poem with you. I saw this, 2 buildings, and between that a moon, right? And I was like, wow, and I suddenly saw it, right? And then I went, and my office was in Andheri. So I traveled from Andheri towards Juhu Beach. I used to not take the expressway. I'll be honest, again, super romantic that I am. I'm hopeless romantic, I would say. I would be like, let me take the gullies, and I at least get to see the sea a little bit. Expressway with the like, I know it would have been a faster route, but I just love taking this, meandering route to Bandra. And once I reached Juhu Beach, again, I saw the moon next to me. It just so happened that the angle was, I was like, chalo, saath hi chal rahe ho, tum to saath hi chalo, phir tum hi saath de do. Like, it was just like, literally like, hey, my companion. And it just became, and I reached home, and I literally parked my car, and of course I couldn't see it from that angle again. I turned around, and I saw right next to my building, a little bit of the moon, there. And I was like, wow, thank you for making me reach home. You miss home. There are times when you're, homesick, and you're like, there's somebody, going back with you, or my father calling and saying, hey, have you reached home safely? And I think the moon was that day for me, it just And so then I started seeking it out. Like, hey, is it there waiting for me? When I leave office, when everybody's gone home to their own lives, is there somebody waiting for me? And it just became, a thing. And so then I wrote that first poem. And then from there on, I realized how I love sitting and watching the moon in that busy city of, Bombay, full of lights, full of life. And there the moon with its own pace and its own journey is like showing up. I see this message from growing up, we used to call moon
Chanda
Chanda
Mama.
Mama.
Would you
Yeah,
like
and
to
I
read
think it
that?
became a more of a muse and a lover that I would address things. And I just sort of, it becomes like something that either the moon is saying through us or I'm talking to the moon. So because those were conversations when I was lonely, it became a big companion in my life.
Would you like to read one of those poems? May I request you to read?
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to force you.
No. I mean, I've never read it out usually, but
maybe
I
we
would
can
love
share.
to. I mean, this is the safest, like I say, this is my tribe. So I would
Yes,
love to.
absolutely. It is your safe space.
Just give me a second and I'll look for the poem.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
prepare
yeah.
for it, but
Yeah. There is a question from Nitya. While collaborative music, bands, and fusion music have been around, do you see a lot of this happening going forward in a more structured way, as so much more talent can get showcased and can have the opportunity to become more mainstream? I think we did touch on this when you said, yeah, that just.
yeah, there's a lot of collaboration that can be done, and people are now looking forward to those kind of different way of looking at music. If you see, even in an album, it's not just like in the 90s, it used to be either Nadeem Shravan or Anu Malik albums. Even in film music, you see so much collaboration happening, right? Like you see, if there are 10 songs, there are 10 different, sometimes 10 different, it's not just Pritam's album. Sometimes Pritam has collaborated with somebody and got you that album. So, it's A.R. Rahman or Shankar Mahadevan, there would always be, those collaborations that would be fantastic. And that's where growth is. That's where the beauty of, coming together and working is.
There is a comment from Ashu Khanna. Safia, you're so full of life. You truly bring your love for saris, Delhi, Mumbai, poetry so alive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish Gayatri, in the future, we're able to do this in person and we can then hug each other.
Yes. While you, maybe we'll.
I'll come back to it.
Yes, we'll come back to the poem. You also briefly mentioned that you changed cities because you were going through a rough patch.
Yes.
And your rough patch was mental health.
Yes,
and
yes. I went.
Yes, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah,
complete.
but
complete
I'm saying I really admire you, the way you handled it, the way you spoke about it, the way you you wrote on the chat, you wrote what you did, because you were like, there's too much stigma around it. And I want people to know that I was a patient of mental health and I have taken help for it. And that's the way forward. And, there is life ahead. And it was very heartfelt. It was very brave. And it struck a chord with so many of us.
Thank you. No, I mean, and exactly why I did that, because if even one person gets positively affected by it, so I think the depression and the mental health journey was much before the rough patch in my life. I think it had been there since my teenager years, and I didn't even realize it. Right? You cry and you're like, oh, it must be PMS. Oh, it must be, I must have felt too much. You think too much. You feel too much. I was always told that you're too sensitive. And I took that and I stayed with it, and like, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I'm feeling too much, and maybe there's nothing here, right? And I kept putting it in this box. And the more, and I read this somewhere, that trauma is not what happened. Trauma is how you interpret it, right? It's your interpretation of it, and how you, and there are these unresolved things that you go on, and all of us do. And trauma doesn't have to be, not just living in Afghanistan and coming out of it, right? It doesn't have to be conflict areas. It could be just as simple as your primary caregiver saying that, without even realizing that, hey, you don't, this painting is so funny, when you're growing up, and you don't take up painting at all, right? That it happened with me. I was drawing something and I was like 7 or 8 years old, and so an aunt who didn't even mean anything, like, it was just one of those things. Hey, this is like, oh, two-dimensional, this man lying on the charpai, and it's like, it just became funny, and I just was like, oh, I think I don't draw well, I shouldn't do it, right? So having said that, you pick, and all of us are victims of victims. All of us who have gone through trauma with somebody, though those people are also victims of their circumstances, of what they've been brought up with. But what I felt was I couldn't cope with it, because there was this whole, hey, Safia is this, this bubble of energy, and I was always that person, right? And there were people depending on me, and I was cheering them up. And after a point of time, I think, like, how you sort of have spent it all, I just became empty, because I was giving out of an empty cup, as they say, right? And I felt that was the way. The conditioning tells you, keep giving, keep smiling, keep going ahead, be strong. And somewhere at one day, I just sat and I was like, I don't want to be strong. I don't want to just, yes, just keep swimming, but I don't want to swim. Why am I not getting the boat? Yeah. Like, why isn't my cruise line coming and saving me? Why can't, mujhe kinara kyun nahi dikh raha hai?
So BNP Paribas, the French bank, was celebrating 100 years of its presence in India, and it did a photo shoot titled Women Changing India, and it featured Safia along with Katrina Kaif and Hasina Sheikh, who's one of the female cab drivers of Mumbai. So this was a traveling exhibition, and Safia's photo, she was at a masjid, and she had a yellow dupatta, and the photo went all the way from New York to Brussels to Paris. It was a traveling exhibition, and the photographers included some of the world's best, like Olivia Arthur, Alex Webb, Raghu Rai. So that's Safia. So this was in 2011. And then Elle also listed her as one of the most powerful women in radio and in media, in oral. So she is quite the go-getter. I don't think she has been able to sign in yet. She is trying. So anyone wants to say something? Any comments? This exhibition was about, there were stories of women who work and give their best on a daily basis. So it was about everyday working women. So there was a cab driver, there was a radio jockey, there was a film actress, there was a panchayat level, a sarpanch from a panchayat. I found that extremely fascinating about Safia, and I wanted her to speak more about it. But this is also a first, but it happens. Our next guest will be 2 weeks from now, and that is going to be an investment banker. An investment banker who helped underwrite one of the largest public offerings of recent times, the Zomato. She will be telling us about the Zomato deal, among other things. And she is also very inspirational, how she manages to balance her work and her career and various different activities. Okay. I was going to ask Safia. Safia also has a lovely voice. Is she back?
She's here.
Yeah, Safia, welcome back. We're all waiting for you.
Yeah, she's here now.
Yeah. You can spotlight her too, admin.
She's here now.
Welcome back, Safia.
So sorry.
No problem.
I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm still okay. Yeah, so I was saying, I'll continue what I'm saying because
Yes.
I know we all have, a time limit here. But most of us think or behave, because of childhood conditioning, and that is something that, so we don't consciously choose. So the first thing that I felt when I felt empty was, why is this happening to me? Because I seem to be in control. I have everything going for me. Why am I still feeling empty? Because there is a part of you that you haven't addressed and the part of you that you left behind. So quickly, I would just say that, I did go through a nervous breakdown where I just didn't understand what was happening. Thank God for friends and family who knew, what to do with me. They took me to a doctor. And I had the privilege to be able to have access to somebody who I could speak to, right? I would say that to anybody who's undergoing, firstly, stop denying it to yourself. Firstly, stop, saying, hey, it's just PMS. Hey, it's just, I'm feeling. Don't say that, just be kind. Just be kind to yourself that you are feeling it. And people are saying, tum zyada soch rahi ho. नहीं, तुम ज्यादा नहीं सोच रही हो. जो तुम्हें फील हो रहा है वो हो रहा है. Please, that is your truth. Live your truth. What we end up doing is believing the other person saying, because we don't think that is, for us. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to be loved. But the ego is constantly comparing to, I should do this. I should do that. And so just becoming conscious of your patterns can be scary. It brings up shame. Shame is a big negative feeling that comes up in depression, in anxiety, where shame is also coming from fear of basically failure, fear of not being able to, supposed to be. Sorry. And that's okay, and I'll tell you honestly, don't try and explain it to everybody. Not everybody will get it. So, and that's okay too. They're to each their own, right? Relationships will be lost, will get changed also. And that's okay too, right? And some people will prefer, the past version of you. I've written these things down because I keep telling myself as well, feel uncomfortable with your evolution because you evolve, you spiritually also evolve, right? And then you suddenly start saying no. You have healthy boundaries saying, I want, the biggest problem for me was to be able to say no. And the moment I started saying no, they're like, "Arey, Safia ko kya ho gaya? Why is she saying no?" Right? And I'm sure lots of people feel that. And that's okay. It's fine. Not everybody will be part of your journey. At the same time, you will fall into old patterns. There are patterns that we need to break, right? And you will go into your older habits. And that's okay. The whole idea, what I'm trying to say is it's okay. Whatever you're feeling is okay. Whatever you're going through is okay. I could not see the light at the end of the tunnel for some time, but that's because I was not being kind to myself. The moment you take care of that child in you, just tell that child, as you just imagine whoever is in front of you, whoever's the most important child in, or a person in your life, and imagine them as children and how you would take care of them. Take care of yourself like that. You deserve it, and so if it takes medicines, and medicines alone will not help. I'll be very honest, whoever's listening, younger or older, only medicines won't help. Only therapy won't help. Only prayers won't help. Only namaz didn't help me. I was waking up at 4 o'clock and still feeling lost. It's a mix of everything. It's everything put together. There's so much that mental health, and I'm so glad people are now talking about it. But we tend to use those words loosely, is what I would say, and we shouldn't do that, because it's very easy to say, hey, mujhe to ye ho raha hai, but first identify, or tum to depressed ho. It's very easy for you to label someone. Just say that it's okay. You don't have to fix everything. But if you're somebody who's supporting a person who's going through depression, just be there. Just be there. Don't give up on that person, because that person is looking for that person ki ye to chhod dega, ye to chhod degi. They won't ask me. I'll be left alone, right? So you just want to tell them, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. And the person who's going through depression, please know that yes, you will look for help outside, but that help is within you. The day I decided, I was like, no, Safia, you need to now switch over to medicines that have helped you sleep and come back to your normal routine. You can get out of it. I got out of the medicine cycle as well, right? It's not forever. And so what I'm trying to say through all this is, you are powerful. And we tend to really put that down, whether it's the conditioning of the culture that we come from, or the conditioning that as gender that we come from. We tend to put ourselves last, or we put ourselves first without even realizing. So it's just be aware of where you're coming from. Where is intention kya hai, niyat kya hai aapki, right? That's very important.
And seek
Sorry,
help.
I went on.
No, and seek help, because the issue can be resolved.
Yes, and you can't resolve. And the thing is to acknowledge that you can't change everything. You can't be responsible for everything. You can't fix everything yourself, right? So asking for help is also bravery. Please understand that. It's saying, hey, one of our, I think everybody would love Charlie Mackesy. I always Maxi, however you pronounce it. The child, the horse, the fox, that illustrator who's a British illustrator, and I'll share it later on the group. He says, "What is the bravest thing that you've said?" The horse asked the kid, and the kid says, "Help. I've asked for help."
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to show you some of the paintings that I made while I was going through, like 2 a.m. depression paintings happened.
So you did take a painting in spite of what you were told as a child.
So that's the time I was like, hey, where is this coming from that, I can't paint? This was my nephew's, acrylic colors. This was the first painting that I made. Like it was fall colors, and it just came out like that. And of course, my favorite moon. There's the only few that I'm showing after a long time. But yeah, and I read a lot on psychology now. I read this lady is amazing. So is she, and I will share these links as well. These are very, I got intrigued by it. I wish I can help students and children at that level, where you sort of, and parents actually, to understand that it's not the child's fault. We need to reparent ourselves sometimes. We need to, like you said in the beginning, unlearn a lot of things.
In fact, this is what Ashu Khanna, on the previous episode of Gupshup with Gayatri, we had a coach who's a life coach, and she spoke about transformation. And what you are saying is, very much in line, that you set boundaries and bring about life is all about transformation and listening to the inner voice. And it's difficult to achieve, but you seem to have done it.
Yeah.
So Safia, I also know that you're a brilliant singer. So let's end on a musical note. Yeah, I would request you to, something that you like, enjoy listening to, enjoy singing.
Okay. You've put me in a spot in many places.
I'm taking undue advantage, I know, of our...
No, but I'm happy to do this. Like I said, seek your safe group and do it. So I'm doing that, and I'm again looking for the words, because I tend to forget.
Thank you, Ashu. Ashu is also here.
Thank you, Ashu. We should chat more about this, because I definitely have lots of things to say to that. Okay, hold on.
And while Safia is singing, if anyone else wants to join in, we could. And if anyone is feeling, wants to join in, please do, ladies.
I have found a moon poem. Can I read that?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here you go. This is called, this is not the first one that I wrote. The first one is on a video. I will send that to you on an audio that I'll send that on the group. This is called Weekend Wala Chand. पूरे हफ्ते की दौड़ भाग के बाद आधा सा दिख रहा है चांद. आजकल कुछ ज्यादा काम है उसके पास. पहले से ज्यादा देर तक रुकना पड़ता है हाईवे के पास ताकि लोग दफ्तर से निकल के देख सकें उसे और उसमें अपने आप को. काले धुएं के बावजूद इमारतों के पीछे से ताकता रहता है. शायद रूठे हुए कपल्स उसे देख के भूल जाएं कि वो क्यों झगड़ रहे थे. थोड़ी देर के लिए ही सही. मुझे घर तक सही सलामत पहुंचाने की जिम्मेदारी भी तो उसी ने ले ली है. इस सब के बाद थक जाता है शायद, लेकिन वीकेंड आते ही खुश दिखता है चांद. जुहू बीच के गुब्बारे वाले के पोल्का डॉट, ओके, जुहू बीच के गुब्बारे वाले के पोल्का डॉट गुब्बारे की तरह. लहरों के साथ पानी में उसका अक्स मुझे छूकर जाएगा. इस इंतजार में पूरा हफ्ता गुजर गया.
Wow. That was beautiful, Safia. I can say आपकी बोली बहुत ही साफ है. And I will never look at the moon the same way. I have to look at it. You've completely personified the moon for all of us. We are saying so lovely. Thank you for sharing, Safia.
You're most welcome.
Yes, I will never.
You're most welcome.
Again, like I did previously, I will look at it in a different way. It's really become a person for me too. And would you like to sing or should we?
There is one more that I want to read out. Beparwa Chand. So I was at my friend's terrace party. I was in Bombay again, in my friend's terrace party the other night. And like most terraces, she has a clothesline cable line running across it, right? And the angle at which I saw the moon, it almost seemed like it was hanging on like that clothesline, right? Which it could double up as clothesline at least. So here's something that I was inspired in that moment. So it's called Beparwa Chand. God, I'm reading all these for the first time, guys. So pardon my reading. कपड़ों की लाइन पे टांगा है चांद को. सूख जाए तो तह लगा के रख दूंगी अलमारी में. हवा चलती है तो कपड़ों के साथ वो भी उड़ने लगता है. सफेद दूधिया चांद पे रंग नहीं लगता किसी और का. अपने रंग की चांदनी से सबको धो देता है वो. लेकिन मेरी फेवरेट शर्ट की तरह बार बार मैला हो जाता है. लोग पूछते हैं कमबख्त वो दाग क्यों नहीं जाता. कैसे समझाऊं सबको कि दाग अच्छे हैं वाला शैतान बच्चा है वो. पूरी रात सारे जहां में घूम के इकट्ठा करता है मुस्कुराहटें. सुबह होते होते कमीज में जमा मुस्कुराहट सागर में बह जाती है. बचते हैं सिर्फ दाग, आंसू, टूटे हुए दिल, इंतजार के दाग. कमबख्त इतना जिद्दी है कि हर रात बेपरवाह निकल पड़ता है फिर से खुशियों की फिराक में. दाग अच्छे ही तो होते हैं.
Wow. I'm truly speechless. There's nothing more I can say now except Safia, thank you so much for being on Gupshup with Gayatri. It's such a privilege to have you read your poems to us. I'm sure I speak for all of us who are here today that, you know, the moon has become extra special for each one of us. There have been so many giveaways, you know, what you spoke about theater of the mind, about your appointment listening, about your mental health problem, about the transformation, how to, you know, put yourself first. Many, many, many takeaways. And
I did one point in radio that I'll share with you guys later. The power of audio, the power of radio. We must remember always is through, I did something called See the Radio. I'm really very proud of that. It's a personal project, passion project. I did See the Radio. Like I said, right, we watch our music. So this was a project that I did for the deaf, and I did radio for the deaf. And someday we'll talk about it a lot more, but it got recognized by the UN goals. It got recognized by NASSCOM Diversity and Inclusion Summit that happens every year. We did a radio for the deaf. I found a radio jockey, a deaf radio jockey, and you would ask how would they communicate, right? So what we did was that the Helen Keller Institute was talking about how they are getting tabooed with sign language, and they don't get regular jobs. They get jobs which are, things which are making candles or folding envelopes, right? And they're, absolutely fit and fine children who are studying science, who are wanting to become doctors, who want driver's licenses, but they're not getting that. In New York, you have a university run by the deaf and deafblind. And so what I said was, okay, so if we can give them a job, so can you. So here's my deal. I'll get a deaf radio jockey, and you will also promise me that you will give them a regular job, right? Because they're qualified enough. They're all science graduates, they're art graduates, they're wanting to become doctors and engineers. So can you give them a job? And so what we did was, we got a deaf radio jockey. They feel and they express a lot. So they would write down things. And I made Tiska Chopra and Farhan Akhtar their voices. And they said, I am Shipra's voice today. And Shipra didn't speak, but she spoke through sign language, which we interpreted through her interpreter. And Farhan and Tiska very, very gracefully and kindly agreed to be their voices. So that day they were not the voice, they were not the celebrity, but their voices. And they went on to do shows which these radio jockeys were hosting, right? So they were saying why they love Kangna Ranaut, why they Ranaut song, or Deepika Padukone songs, and what's wrong with this one's hairstyle and that one's, because they can see, they want to express, but it's just that they need to be given a chance. And so we did this. I wish I could have done something at the policy level, but I moved out of radio very right after that. But the Helen Keller Institute was very happy, and I'm just happy that we gave some dreams to these phenomenal kids who are so expressive to be able to say what they. So खामोशी में भी आवाज होती है.
खामोशी में भी आवाज होती है. We'll end on that note with a promise to have you back on another episode of Gupshup with Gayatri, because this Gupshup can just go on. खामोशी में भी आवाज होती है. Thank you for joining in Gupshup with Gayatri.
Thank you. Love to everybody.
Conversations with new age technology. Thank you, Safia.